Midday Report, Episode 2, Ramen. Welcome back to the Midday Report. I'm Ramen Advani.
And I'm Alex Shearer.
And welcome back to the Midday Report. Today we got a good episode in store for you guys. We have NFL Conference Championship predictions, along with our Super Bowl predictions, and then we'll be talking about the mental health past of Robin Leonard and Michael Phelps.
A bunch of stories around the board.
Yeah, very true. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Alex, would you like to start us off with your conference championship predictions?
I think I will. And these playoffs have been kind of a roller coaster at this point. Let's start out with the NFC. We got Tampa Bay and Green Bay. So these two teams, Green Bay I expected, Tampa Bay not entirely. I expected New Orleans to beat them out this past time. But I think Green Bay's got a lot of talent between Rodgers and that whole O-line and just the defense and everything right now. I think their talent kind of outweighs Tampa, even though I should know to never bet against Brady. So I think I'm still going to take Green Bay in that matchup.
And on the AFC?
So we got Buffalo and Kansas City. I've said Buffalo from the beginning. I'm going to keep it that way. I think Buffalo will take down Kansas City. There's no Sammy Watkins, and they're just shorthanded. So I think Buffalo with Diggs and Tre'Davious White and Josh Allen, I think they'll be able to take down our Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with you on the Green Bay one. I think. I really want to see Rodgers succeed. He's had such a great year so far, and I want him to be rewarded because Green Bay hasn't been doing much for him. So I want to see him get something. But I disagree with you on the Buffalo one. I think Kansas City is going to go for their second in a row, and Mahomes is going to prove that he is the best quarterback of all time.
Yeah, the Buffalo one was kind of close for me. Like, you can call me a little bit biased because that's just who I had from the beginning. But yeah.
All right, and then Super Bowl.
So Super Bowl, my matchup: Buffalo and Green Bay. Again, call me biased. I expect Buffalo to take down Rodgers with that defense between Tre'Davious White and Ed Oliver and Micah Hyde, all those guys on that defense.
So you're taking?
I'm taking Buffalo over Green Bay.
It's not one that a lot of people have, especially now.
But what do you think? You got Kansas City and Green Bay. Who do you think's taking that one?
It's going to be a very, very high scoring game. I'll tell you that. But I'm gonna take Kansas City again.
Okay, you gonna have them repeat?
Yeah, we don't see it very often in the NFL, but I think their team is just.
They're stacked.
They're stacked, but they haven't been playing the best in the past few weeks. But I think they'll do enough to pull out a Super Bowl championship and get Mahomes his second ring of all time.
Yeah, you never know what Andy Reid's in store to do.
Yeah, you never want to underestimate that man.
Mustache is the best on that guy.
When we got knocked out last year to him, I was super mad. But then I saw how happy he was when he won, and I was just like, you know what?
Yeah, because I mean, he'd go through the same thing every year. Like, he'd have a great regular season, and then he'd choke in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And finally seeing him get that monkey off his back, it was a little bit satisfying. I kind of realized that a little bit later, though, because I was mad at the time.
Remember when they blew that 21-3 lead to us, Marcus? That definitely was.
That was the best game to watch.
It was. Alright, let's move on to Robin Leonard. His story with suicidal thoughts and depression. You have a guy who's as gifted as Robin Leonard. Maybe not now he struggles, but back when he was back in Buffalo, you see the team they had back then. It There's
Yeah.
nothing good about it. And so this has me thinking, what do you think caused this for him? Was it the play of the team, or what do you think?
Honestly, I think it was management structure. I mean, he even said same thing for Ryan O'Reilly, who got out of there too. They just took away his love for the game. Like
Yeah,
they didn't supply anyone in front of him, no one around them, and it's just when you can't develop chemistry and everything, it just feels like the whole world's against you.
yeah. It's just an unfortunate thing that he had to run in with. Like, he was such a gifted guy,
Yeah,
and this it's just so sad how it all went down. But thankfully he's been in a much better place since then, with going to teams like the Islanders, Chicago, and now ultimately with Vegas, who have gotten his love for the game back, and he's been very successful since then.
yeah. I mean, he's arguably their franchise goalie now. A guy that was
Yeah,
down in the dumps 3 years ago, and he's worked it out. I mean, I think when he signed with the Islanders, I think it was just kind of a prove it deal. And once he got into a new system, a new organization, new structure, I think with a
yeah,
clean slate, that kind of sparked it for him.
absolutely. But the big thing with him was whether he would be able to rebound from that. Because you see a lot of people lose their jobs because of this stuff, and they can't come back from it. And so I just found that to be such a great thing that he was able to stride back from it. And yeah,
Yeah, just let that inspire everybody that you can come back if you have enough persistence, if you're just in the right place at the right time.
yeah, it's a it's such an inspiring story, because it's just not often that you're able to see someone go down that low and then ultimately shoot back up to such a high level of whatever they are doing.
Exactly.
All right. So now we're going to be moving on to another athlete who has struggled with suicidal thoughts and depression. Ultimately, some could argue as the greatest Olympian ever, Michael Phelps.
Oh, that guy's an inspiration to all.
All kids, Americans, you name it. It's just it's something that you hate to see anybody go through with it.
Yeah. And, even when I was a little kid and I used to swim competitively and like I used to look at that guy and I was like I would kind of learn off of him and just
Yeah,
that he was going through that at the same time. I just can't believe that.
it's just so hard to comprehend. Like, someone can be so successful, but they don't feel like they're enough at the same time.
Because you never know what goes on behind closed doors.
Absolutely, with all these athletes, it's just super sad with what actually goes on.
Yeah.
And this is to anybody who's out there listening to this. You're not alone. A bunch of people go through this stuff, and there's people out there you can talk to uh, what's it called? Can you help me out here?
What, like counselors?
Yeah, not counselors, but like there's people who've gone through
Yeah.
what you're feeling. You're not alone, so just keep that in mind. And yeah,
I know that's what anyone always hears, but trust me, like talk to someone about it, or you're not alone.
like you'll feel much better once you're able to tell it to somebody and not just keep it inside for however long you've been holding on to it.
It's good for the soul.
Absolutely. Um, so we have a couple viewer questions, and I was wondering if Alex, you want to take this one first. Um, One of our questions comes in, and it says, with the way the Titans ended their season, what moves should be necessary in our off season
Mm,
to ensure that we take the step forward and this doesn't happen again?
Well, the pass rush needs a big adjustment.
Oh, that's for sure.
I mean, I think the secondary too, because I mean, I don't know what the situation's gonna be with the cap crunch we're coming up with, because the cap's gonna cut down because
Yeah.
every cap space is made up from the money you made the year before, and with
Yeah.
less fans and you know, with just all that stuff, we're gonna be taking a hit.
Any specific moves in mind?
I think re-signing Jayon Brown is a must.
Oh, I feel like that's a for sure. He's a cornerstone of that D. So.
Yeah, I think it wasn't the same when he went out, so
Oh no, not at all.
I'd say definitely bring him back. For how much? I don't know. I don't know how much he could demand.
I'd say you could probably get him for around like 5 million.
If we could get him on a bargain, I'd love that.
I mean, he's still got a lot to prove. So.
Yeah. But I mean, he's definitely done a lot. He was like what, a 5th round pick?
Yeah. How old is he right now? Like 25?
Somewhere around there, like 25, 26, something like that.
Yeah, so he's definitely still got a lot to prove.
Yeah, and you know, just for the past 4 years now, he's just been perfect on the defense. I think he's been making interceptions, making big plays. I think the free agents we could go after, we need some rushers. I'd say, you know, I mean,
sure.
we got Yannick Ngakoue, Bud Dupree, Matt Judon. There's going to be a bunch of guys coming onto the market. I think we need to get at least one of those 3 guys.
Absolutely. With the way that our team, you saw it, we couldn't do anything.
Couldn't get to the quarterback.
We could, and I think what were we like 29th in the league in sacks or something?
T.J. Watt had more sacks than our entire team.
Just let that sink in for a second.
That is sad.
One player has more sacks than your entire team. Think about that.
Like, it's a must to improve. I think either the draft. Well, I mean, if you get someone in the draft, you have to develop them. I'd say sign somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal's going to be with Clowney if we bring him back. I wouldn't. Well, I wouldn't bring him back for any more than $3 million.
That says a lot. Yeah. But what about on the offensive side of the ball? Do you think what moves should be made over there?
I don't think Corey's our guy.
No.
I think get him out. AJ, we need to get AJ some help. Humphreys, we're gonna have to cut him because I mean he's not been the guy that we've wanted, that we signed him for that $9 million a year cap hit.
Yeah.
So I'd say get 2 receivers. We got a few coming onto the market. I think Kenny Galladay might demand too much, but if we could get like him or Allen Robinson or anyone, even like Kenny Stills, I'd push for that.
I really hope Allen Robinson doesn't stick in Chicago because I feel like that's such a waste to his talent. These are his prime years, and he's going to be wasting them in Chicago.
Like, imagine what he could have done if he had a real quarterback. He's still putting up 1,000-yard seasons.
With Trubisky and Bowles.
Yeah.
It's just insane what players can do.
I think we need to improve our line, too, because Isaiah Wilson, I don't even want to talk about that guy.
Oh, my God. Think about, dude, if we picked someone that could have been more effective this year, think about how much.
Think of all the guys we could have had.
We could have beaten a team like Baltimore if we had a guy.
Think of who we could have had. We could have had Jonathan Taylor. We could have had Michael Pittman. We could have had Chase Claypool. We could have had any of those guys.
Exactly. And that will do it for us today, folks. Thank you for tuning into the second episode, and stay tuned for episode 3 coming out soon. And until next time, I'm Alex.
And I'm Ramen.
I'm just playing. I'm Ramen.
And I'm Alex.
And until next time, we'll see you later.